Good morning, everyone. I am Marv Henberg, and I have the privilege of being the president of this fine institution. And we're here for a very, very happy occasion. Before I proceed, I would like to acknowledge the presence of our board chair, the Honorable Candy Dale, here in the front row, and other trustees around that I won't try to name because I'll forget somebody. And also the architect for this project from Hummel Architects, Scott Strubar, is, Scott, I'm sorry. Scott, sorry, Scott. Right over there. The College of Idaho is proud of its academic reputation, preparing students for a wonderful future and being public-minded citizens of the world. A huge portion of that is our success in athletics, for which we celebrate year after year after year. And unlike some other institutions, there's no dividing line between athletic success at this institution and academic success. Last year, for instance, 14 of our 15 Cascade Conference teams were academic All-American teams. A few years ago, we set the record by having a 100% of that, the only institution in the whole NAIA to ever have that designation. And so I also want to acknowledge the importance of all our coaches, all our faculty members who collaborate with the coaches to make sure that that line between academics and athletics is a permeable one, that students are treated with respect across that boundary. We all know that that's true of this institution. And indeed, as I keep saying again and again and again, in a world in which we're challenged by quote-unquote virtual education, education by computer, one of the things you cannot do virtually is compete in athletics, because if you're doing athletics virtually, you're not doing athletics, right? So with all that, it's my pleasure to turn the proceedings over to three people who've been very influential in helping the college raise funds for this new athletics facility, whose naming we're going to unveil in just a moment or two. And as I do so, I want to take a moment to acknowledge the leadership of John and Linda Beckett for the steering committee for the football and facilities fundraising for our initiative here. They have just recently added to their lead-off pledge or gift of $150,000. They've just sweetened the pot to the tune of $250,000 to continue to make this go forward. Their partner in this wonderful conspiracy is James Grigsby, who is a former board chair and passionate about this, has made his own significant contributions to this project, as have 100% of our trustees. I want to acknowledge and thank them for that. So with no further ado, to proceed to introduce the naming rights to this new facility, John and Linda Beckett and Jim Grigsby.
Okay, my favorite thing in the world is public speaking. I don't know if anybody's ever passed out from it, but this may be the first time. Okay, ever since Jim and I started serving on the board together, we've been saying, there's got to be a building named after Marty Hawley. I mean, it's just a done deal, but it never happened. So the time is right. And I think almost everybody in this room understands why there needs to be a Marty Hawley building. I mean, he's given so much of himself. There isn't a person that's attended this college or been associated with it who doesn't know Marty and appreciate Marty, whose life hasn't benefited from knowing Marty. Marty could have gone a lot of places. He's got, I understand, a a shoebox full of offers, places he could have gone, and he stuck with the college all these years out of the love for the college and the people here. This is his family. So I think we all understand why it needs to be the Marty Holly Center. But, and I hope nobody has his feelings hurt, but a few weeks ago I was talking to somebody who didn't understand why it needs to be the Marty Holly Center. And I tried to my best to explain, and I couldn't get through to this person. And so I'd like to ask all of you to help me convince this person that it needs to be the Marty Holly Center. And if you would write notes or make phone calls, whatever you need to do to tell them how Marty impacted your life, how he's impacted the college, what he's done for the school and the community and the students and the faculty. And so I'm going to give you the name and the phone number and the address of this person so you can contact them. This person who just does not agree that it should be this name. I know, who is it? There's only one person that doesn't believe this should be, and his name is Marty Holly. You can reach him at the College of Idaho. His phone number is 459-5850. When we told him about this, he said, no, you can't do this. You know, the Holly family, no, you can't do it. And we said, Marty, it has to be, you know. And so, anyway, truly, it would mean so much to him and his family if you would write down those anecdotes and tell him what he's done for you, for your family, for your children, for whatever, to inspire you and make your life a little bit better, because I know he's made ours a lot better. Thank you.
I've been thinking about how in a few minutes that I can make some comments relative to Marty and the relationship that we've had. Actually, I was involved with the team in spring of 1981, which amazes me. That was a lot of hair and a few pounds ago, where we had to decide upon 2 finalists, and the team was allowed to make the final decision. And I was a teammate on the very first team that Marty had here at the College of Idaho, and it amazes me that it's in excess of 30 years ago, and soon to be almost 32 years ago. There's a number of teammates in this room, even though we didn't play on the same team. Mark Owen and I go back to, I think, when he was a 5th grader. And I'm 2 or 3 years older than Mark, but when I say teammates, Marty, most people know Marty as a phenomenal basketball coach. I mean, without further ado, he's in the NAIA Hall of Fame, probably won more games. I happened to be on the first team, and it was just so nice, and don't take these comments wrong. I was on his very first team, and we didn't win 20 games. We were 19-8. And then there was Mark, and I know Jimmy Smutney's here, Kevin Holsey's here, Doug Brigham's here, and there may be other teammates or players that Marty had in this room, and I apologize if I haven't mentioned you, but for about 15 years, we were the losingest team that Marty had. Most of them won in excess of 25 games a year. A lot of them won almost 28 games a year. So, you know, we think of Marty, we think of his success as a basketball coach. But I want to talk about Marty as not only, and I'll share a couple stories. One is he saved my life. I hope I don't get a little emotional, but my senior year, things were a little tough. I didn't know I'd been a student athlete here for 2 years, and things were a little tough from a family perspective. And I talked to Marty, and I said, Marty, I don't know if I can stick this out. I mean, I'm getting married here shortly. You know, my mother raised 3 boys by herself, and it was he and the assistant coach at that point in time, and some of you know him as Alan Corder. Marty's had phenomenal assistants over the years, including Bus Connor. Mark was an assistant before he became a head coach, and I think I'm forgetting somebody. Gary Matlock. I know Gary's probably in the room. Sorry, Gary. Although Gary and I go back to NNC, now NNU days, so he and I know each other for a long, long time. But, you know, it was a difficult time, and Marty and Alan talked me into, unfortunately with the help of my now in-laws, I was able to finish my career. And I look at you look at those opportunities, and we've all had those different kind of trenches or touch points in life where you hopefully, you don't know if you're going to make the right decision or not, but certainly you made the right decision. And I never, everyone thought of us as basketball players, and I would take exception to all the athletes that have been through this institution. And I've argued with the board for years, and Marv and President Hendren, President Learned and others. I truly believe, and there's a measurement for students. It's not necessarily an athletic measurement. There's a measure of students that we measure the quality of the students that come to College of Idaho, unfortunately, before we add value. And Marv and I've had this ongoing debate, and he tries to set me straight, but I'm pretty stubborn. That's one thing about being an athlete is you're a little competitive and awful stubborn. But I truly believe it's one of those points in time where, as you look at Marty and the value he's added to not only the athletes that have come through this institution in the past 33 years, but also the other students that have been across this campus and have had the special opportunity to live in a pretty special place. Marty and I have always talked about, at the end of the day, I mean, certainly Linda referenced, he had the chance, I think one year there was 4 big sky schools at the same time recruiting him to leave this institution, and he stayed. He stayed for family, which I know is critically important to him. But as I look at things he's accomplished, I want to talk about him as an athletic director. And I'll date you back about 32 years. At that point in time, and I'm going to make some comments, I loved O'Connor Fieldhouse. I didn't play defense very well, but I know when you shut the lights out there, you could really shoot the ball pretty well. And some of those, Mark would probably echo that. You could shoot the ball pretty well. We practiced in Kirkpatrick Gym. But you look at what we have today, and it's a real tribute to Marty as an athletic director. We didn't have the McCain Center, and that's named, that's where Kirkpatrick was in the days. We didn't have the McCain Center. We didn't have the softball fields. We wouldn't have a football complex, and I'll talk about that in a little bit relative to the board's decision around the football initiative. We wouldn't have, and bless their hearts, they're no longer with us today, the J.A. and Catherine Albertson facility. I'd have loved to play in that facility. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love O'Connor Fieldhouse. And we didn't get, right, wrong, or indifferent, we didn't get beat in the O'Connor Fieldhouse. Right, Jimmy? We just didn't get beat there. And there's a lot of legacy there, although and I'll tell a few Marty Hawley stories, there's a bunch that he won't let me tell. But I do remember that in his younger career, we had to get him away from the fans. We had to move out in timeouts. We had to move out in the center of the court because we seemed to have pretty straightforward and blunt discussions as teammates and teams as we tried to execute what we tried to execute. But you look at this campus today, and I walk across it, and I walked across it again this morning. It's unbelievable where we've come from 8 or 9 teammates that I had that had a decision to make relative to, and actually the other person, and some of you may know the name, Danny Miles. Danny was the head coach at Oregon Tech, who we love to beat, and we beat most often. And it seemed like it always come down to the two of us, but we made the right decision 32 years ago. And when Linda and I started to talk, I think it was in 2007, her dad, Warren, who's no longer with us, is probably one of the most phenomenal businessmen that not only stepped foot in the state of Idaho, but nationally in terms of what he did with the Albertson Corporation. And another gentleman that I'd like to mention who's been very influential with John and Linda and I to kind of bring today to an accomplishment in his name, and he's been a benefactor of this college for many, many decades, Harry Bettis. Some of you know that name. Harry was truly influential in what we tried to accomplish in terms of recognizing Marty's contributions, not only to this campus, the campus community, its constituency, but to Caldwell, to the Treasure Valley, and to the great state of Idaho. It goes much beyond that. Linda's right in terms of the phone number she gave you. Marty would love to not do this. When we first told him we had this idea, he didn't like it very much, and I knew that, and I figured I'd have to run a little bit. But this is about Marty and his family, and his family's here today. A number of them, and a couple of them I haven't seen for a while, Nevin and his family, and Nevin spent a lot of years in the Caldwell community. But I can't think of a better tribute, especially while he's living. A lot of these dedications go on when we passed and gone on to that's kind of second phase in afterlife. But it's truly an honor. We're not done fundraising. Some of you may know me. I get kind of revenue oriented, but we're not done fundraising for this facility. And I'll tell you a little story. I had the opportunity to tell the College of Idaho story over the weekend in South Dakota, and I handed to a gentleman that I've known very, very well. And our story is very, very powerful. A lot of folks might think that this facility, and it's not named that way. It's not a football facility. It's a facility in tribute to this campus and in tribute to Marty. We have future phases that we'd like to add to it, and Marvin, Jack, and others are working on that as well as our committee. But it goes above and beyond that. This facility is another beautiful addition to this campus, and for students in the future and for kids in the future. And I was telling a story. I said, you know, the initiatives we have today are about people that have passed us by. Dedication. I mean, I was on campus when John was a former football player here. I was on campus when there were still football players that pursued their degrees and graduated from this institution that, frankly, their team was eliminated a few years prior to that. And I just look at, you know, bleeding what I call gold and purple. I know we have some different colored uniforms now, but I still bleed gold and purple. And the value that we add is unmeasured, and I couldn't be pleased that all of you are here today and have this opportunity to celebrate what we're going to celebrate with Marty and his family. It's truly a special day. I'm glad to play a small part in it, but we need your help, and there's the revenue side of me. We still have some work to do relative to this initiative to finish some things that we're trying to accomplish on campus, and it's going to take all of us. It's just not the three of us here or Harry and others. There's been a lot of great gifts, but we've got some work to do and work to accomplish, and I'll be working the balance of all of Marty's teams. There's a lot of them that had success, and frankly, a lot of those teammates, and I'm one of them from the original team that he had here at the institution, wouldn't be where they're at today without Marty's coaching, his influence, and you know, I'm talking about someone that's probably my best friend, and that goes above and beyond coaching. And without further ado, we'd like to call Marty forward and unveil the presentation. Marty, please come forward. Thank you.
Most of you know I'm rather emotional. I try not to be, I really do. And Marv said to me, be yourself. So I guess that just means start crying right now. But I'm going to try not to be. Before we talk about this, and this is not going to be a long speech, I want to thank my family, my wife, I love you, my kids, my grandkids. As we all know, when it all is said and done, it's about your family and friends. And think about that, family and friends. And I am so blessed, more than anybody will ever know. Think of going to work, you know, okay, I had other job offers. I've said this, why try to be happier when you're happy? And this place just works for me. I love everything about it. We've always had our struggles. We always will. But we are resilient. We are very good. And we are right now, due to the board leadership, the senior staff leadership, which is incredible, the presidential leadership, we're this close to taking off on a national stage. I believe that from the bottom of my heart. And if this building helps in any way, then I am so proud to have my name on it. You know, there's no playbook when John and Linda and Jim, you know, I'm never going to get offered to work for the FBI or the CIA or figure something out because anybody can put anything over on me. I am beyond, John and Linda say, hey, we're going to come by they were going to do it earlier, and my son got ill, as a lot of you know, and then they come over and say, we're going to bring a pizza by. And, okay. And as they were coming over, I was coming home from work, and I said, I'm going to call Jim, because we're all pretty good friends and do some things socially together. I'm gonna call them, and the doorbell rings, and Jim's there, and still I don't get it. There is no playbook. There is no put yourself in these shoes. Someone says, we want to name a building after you. How do you react to that? My reaction was, because there's something inside of me that I don't like that kind of. But I've talked to Marv about it, and I am so honored. I am so thank everyone in this room and everyone. I like it. I'm glad. My family, my Cash and Marty, they can go by, 50 years from now, and that was named after their grandpa. Now, we're not going to argue the virtues of whether I deserve it or not. It's done. I get my name. And I look around, I just look around this room. I look at Barry, and I look at people love the C of I. You fall in love with it. That sounds corny. We're not perfect, but boy, are we good at what we do. And if athletics helps, if football helps, you know what the coaches call me now? Football Marty. And that is, I think that I like it. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what they call me, but I'm not. But Football Marty is so honored. And Marv said something to me that I don't think he even remembers saying. It was Friday, and I can't tell you how this has impacted me. He said, I wrote letters inviting your family to this event, and I've never enjoyed anything more as president. Wow. Thank you. And I have so many people to thank. What a great team we have as our senior leadership team. We've never been anywhere near where we are now. Believe me, we know there's always issues with spending endowment, and there's issues with, we completely understand that, but we're on the cusp right now of 10 years from now. I mean, to have 7 Rhodes Scholars, and that's just, what's a Rhodes Scholar? I'll tell you what a Rhodes Scholar is. It's the Heisman Trophy. And we've had 7. And the doc, we all know, we put out a product thanks to our faculty. You learn to critically think. You learn to write. You become a whole person when you graduate from this place. And if athletics and football, which I truly believe it will, puts us on a national stage, then good. And that takes nothing away from other phases of this school, but it might open doors and let people see just how good that we are. I looked at this school. It's so hard academically. I looked at midterm grades of athletes, and oh my gosh! And these are our football players. Are Coach Morawski brought in 62 to 64 players. I think I've heard 3.55 to 3.62 GPAs, and men of character. And I look at midterm grades, and I try to tell the coaches, don't panic. It's midterms, and our faculty makes you sweat a little bit. But they'll be okay if they do what they're supposed to do. I just think that we're doing just the right things. I personally, I've been here. We started. It's almost funny, with 3 sports and a phone with about a 200-foot extension. One phone, and if I got a phone call and then they wanted to talk to the ski coach, I would take this 200-foot, maneuver through a maze, leave the phone with him, you have a call, and then he would take the next call and take it. And I look where we are, look at the campus the way it is now. Look at this new building. It's going to add to, look at Simplot Stadium, what it's going to do for Caldwell and the whole valley. There's still so much work to be done, and sometimes, right now I feel like I devote so much of my time and energies to football that I'm really honestly feeling very guilty about. I told this to Al Mendiola the other day. I don't get to spend time with my other coaches, and I've got to find time. Regan Rossi, who's been incredible, taking over and helping me. But my mind is so warped right now. All I think about is fundraising. And I sat Saturday and thought of 2 people that we should be after fundraising, and that's and I really tell you how sick I am. I'm getting to like it. But to have my family here, and I look at Candy and I look at Doug and I look at all the trustees. I don't want to embarrass them by the name, but one comes by and puts a $10,000 check on my desk the other day for the new building, and people, we're getting a audio board, video board for football, and people are. I'm surprised they're fighting to get up on the. That's never happened before. Right now it's exciting times. I think our basketball program is about to be launched, something very, very special. We've got, we got Liz Mendiola back there. She was 0-8, and she was this close to being fired. I mean, well, how many have we won in a row? We're in first place, and there's not a better coach. I look at her and all our coaches. We're hosting. If you want to see something fun, come this Saturday. This Saturday we've got soccer game, the conference cross-country championships, volleyball match, basketball, a big basketball game. But I look at where we could have the best women's cross-country team in the country. If you get a chance to come watch us, that meet Saturday. But all I can say to this group is, Jim Grigsby, he truly is my best friend. It's kind of an odd couple. He's very smart. He is a real thinker. He is driven to do things for this college. And I look at the Becketts, and let's end it with this. Having a chance to leave, would you leave when you had a chance to work with the presidents I've worked with the trustees, with the coaches, with the faculty? I just had an email Sunday from a faculty member that said, I have a concern over an athlete, and we're going to meet this afternoon. That's just the way it happens at this place, people caring. And this new building, having my name on it, I'm about as honored as anyone could be. And let's get this fundraising finished. Let's continue to grow and be proud of this institution, because the best times are ahead. Thank everyone here for their friendship. That means more than anything. I'm just looking around, I look at Shaw, and I think back at Idaho State. And God gives you friends, gives you family, and I'm so blessed. Thank you.
part, the last 33 years, today we pay tribute.